Okay. Hello. Okay. Thanks everyone for coming. My name is Liam. I am an advisor to the WorldCoin Foundation, and I've been a supporter of the project since the very beginning. I've been working on Ethereum scalability for nearly a decade at this point, and I've been really privileged to have been a part of some of the biggest blockchain launches in our industry, including OP mainnet and Base. And I'm a really big believer of Ethereum and the power that it has to do good in the world. So I'm very honored to have the opportunity to share with you WorldChain today. So what is WorldChain? Well, you can basically boil it down to three very simple properties. One is it's going to be a blockchain designed for humans. Two, it is going to be an Ethereum L2. And three, it is the new economic home for world. And I'm going to go through in this presentation exactly what I mean by all these things. So when we designed WorldChain, because it had to be something unique and different from all other blockchains that the world network could be built upon, we had to come up with two very new principles for this ecosystem. The first is prioritizing humans over bots, and the second is focusing on real-world adoption. And the reason why is World is one of the only projects in the world that can actually pinpoint who is a human on a blockchain, and two is it has an enormous penetration in the markets where real-world crypto adoption is the largest. So in this presentation, I'm going to share with you exactly what we did to build a blockchain that prioritizes humans over bots, and also how we're going to go to market to support real-world crypto adoption. So let's dive in. What does it even mean to prioritize humans on a blockchain? That's like, if you're technical, you're probably thinking that. It's a very kind of nebulous statement. But I want to kind of impart in you that there's an extremely precise mechanism that we've built that never existed before on any other blockchain. And that is effectively what I'm going to share in a second, prioritize block space and gas allowance. So the features we want from prioritizing humans on a blockchain are these two. We want to prevent front running by bots on this blockchain. Enormous amounts of revenue is generated from what's called maximal extractable value on Ethereum and other blockchains today. We want to minimize the impact of that on WorldChain for humans. And two is we want to keep the fees very low, ideally free if we can, for humans using blockchains, separate from bots. So I'm going to explain now exactly how we implement these two new features, prioritize block space for humans and a gas allowance for humans. So one by one. What is prioritize block space for humans? Well, it's essentially the label that you have on the box. It means that humans on WorldChain are going to be privileged in a way above and beyond bots at every level of the stack in a deeper integration than you can get on any other blockchain, specifically in the block building process. And because this can be kind of complicated, I'm going to explain it really clearly visually. So this is block building 101. On a typical blockchain today, and this is on OP mainnet where the project has been up until today, you can kind of think of block building like this. You have a series of transactions coming in from around the world to a sequencer, and periodically they're going to draw a box around some bundle of those transactions and call that a block. The problem from the point of view of WorldCoin is that you don't know which of these transactions are from humans, which of these are from bots, and ultimately this is just a first in priority order. Whoever pays the most money ends up at the top of the block. That's why bots and trading firms are able to pay their way to get in front of humans and capitalize on the access to order flow that they can get. So when we were thinking about how block building should work on WorldChain, we had the ability to, for the first time, change that structure because as an Ethereum L2 rollup, WorldChain is able to give the foundation in the future, the broader network, the ability to design the block building process. So what can we do with World? Since we have World ID, what we can do is we can label which transactions coming into a block are from real humans and not just arbitrary bots. And in addition, because we have the ability to order these blocks, we can do a very simple trick, which is we can put the ones that are from the humans at the top. It sounds very simple, but it's actually incredibly profound when you think of the implications on markets, MEV, and exchanges that are going to be built on WorldChain. Regardless of how much fees are paid by bots, humans will be given priority on WorldChain. And this is actually a very significant feature, both because it means humans will not be able to be front-run by arbitrageurs, MEV bots. It also means that we're going to have the ability to introduce separate gas markets for the prioritized human block space and the non-human block space. It's a very powerful feature, even though it seems very simple. And we've actually been very privileged to work with some of the best teams in the world on this. Reth, which is the leading execution client for Ethereum blockchains, Flashbots, which led the way on pioneering MEV in the first place, and OP Labs, which is the leading team building the Optimism superchain and all kinds of stuff in this ecosystem. So that's Priority Blockspace for humans. And I talked a little bit about the fees, but we mentioned earlier that we want to keep fees low for humans. So how do we do that? How do we figure out how to make the fees low for humans? Well, let's go back to our block. The thing I didn't mention is there's fees attached to all these transactions. Regardless of the ordering, it's still the case that block space is not infinite, so there has to be some mechanism for accounting for the fees that you have to pay to get included in a block. Otherwise, you'd be able to spam the blockchain. So what can we do? Ideally, we'd not only have the fees be very low on WorldChain, which they will be because it's an Ethereum L2, ideally we'd have them be free. And if you've been following the World app and other kind of announcements, you might be wondering, I thought they were already free. And the reason why it's not quite that simple is that historically, Tools for Humanity and the WorldCoin Foundation have been subsidizing those costs for the users. And if you have not been looking at the data, it's actually insane. It's literally tens of millions of dollars have been spent to give the illusion to users that their transactions are free on Polygon and OP mainnet over time. And that's just simply not sustainable. So how do we get to a world where we can ultimately make these transactions free? Well, this is the second really interesting feature that we can introduce on this blockchain because it's built by the World Foundation and is managed by the World Network. This set of fees is no longer just going to Polygon or Optimism or any other block builder. Actually, the vast majority of it will go directly to the network, which means this is the first time in history for the World project that there's going to be a net new value capture mechanism at all. So this is actually on its own a big deal, but it kind of begs the question, where do those fees go? Who's making that money? Does it go to the token holders or something? That's not the objective. So what we're going to be introducing into WorldChain is a gas allowance for humans, which is a very fun idea, and it's basically like Robinhood style. We're going to take from the bots and we're going to give to the humans. It's very simple. The fees that are going to be accumulated from the trading bots, MEV arbitragers, firms in general, anyone that's not a human, which will be priced normally like you would see in any other blockchain, are going to be reused to create a gas subsidy that'll be able to go to humans. So if you're an individual person trying to use a blockchain for your own personal life, you won't have to worry about the fees. Obviously, this is only possible because they're humans and you can introduce caps, rate limiting, and things like that. But this is a really cool feature. Like I said, it gives us the ability to make fees earned by bots on WorldChain go directly towards making fees free for humans. So that's just very cool. There's never been a blockchain that's ever attempted anything like this before. And not only that, because this is now happening outside of the World app, this is going to be a feature that's available for every transaction on any wallet. So other wallets that will support WorldChain and World ID will be able to take advantage of this feature, meaning their users will have free transactions on WorldChain, not just through the World app. So that's a pretty epic feature, frankly. So those are the two things that we're putting directly into WorldChain immediately and slowly improving for the gas markets and so on. Prioritized block space for humans and a gas allowance for humans. And like I said, that's all a part of our first principle, putting humans over bots on WorldChain. So that's a lot of the product stuff. That's what we're doing to make this unique and what we can uniquely build because it's an L2 rollup and we run the sequencer as part of the World Network. But what are we doing to make this blockchain useful in the real world? I want to share something that people that know me have probably heard millions of times, which is how insane stablecoin growth has been. There's a report that came out just last month by Brevin Howard Digital and Castle Island Ventures. They went around and they surveyed people in 5 of the countries where stablecoin adoption is at its highest. And they asked them, like, what do you use stablecoins for? And although the largest answer I didn't put on the slide was 50% of people saying they use it for trading crypto and NFTs, as you might expect, a shockingly large number of them also use stablecoins to save in dollars, seek better currency conversion, earn a yield on their savings, or just send money internationally. And this is a very big deal. If you've been in crypto for a long time, you can be a bit, jaded because of all the memes, the smoke and mirrors, the nonsense. But this is serious adoption, and I want to convey to you how serious it is. If you look at spot crypto trading volume against stablecoin monthly sending addresses, you can see even as NFT booms have come and gone, ICOs, meme coin mania, whatever it is, even as the markets have gone up and down, stablecoin usage has gone up and to the right consistently for 5 straight years. This is a beautiful graph in crypto because we're not talking about bull markets and bear markets, we're talking about real world usage. And this is happening in all of the same markets where WorldCoin has been able to get deep integration. Latin America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, in the eastern parts of Europe. This is a really interesting kind of correlation. And I want to narrow in on one place in particular. Argentina, if you look at some of the statistics of purchasing power against stablecoin activity, you can see that in Argentina, people there have lost 82% in their purchasing power relative to the US dollar since November of 2022. And in that same time period, stablecoin trading volumes have gone up 10,000%. In other words, and you can go there and you can meet people on the streets, they're using stablecoins as a better form of money than what their government and financial sector can offer to them today. And this is insane because if you saw the keynote that Alex gave earlier, you would have heard a really just honestly mind-blowing stat, which is that 1 in 3 adults in Buenos Aires are verified with World ID. That means exactly in the places where stablecoin adoption is at its highest, World ID and the World Network is getting a user-based penetration, and that is a remarkable feat. We're not talking about users that want crypto for gambling purposes or to make a quick buck. We're talking about users that need this for their everyday financial access needs, exactly in the same places where world adoption is at its highest. So honestly, that's why I'm here. I think that's just like mind-blowing, and it's a massive opportunity because if you look again how this is going forward for WorldCoin, these markets are popping up all over the world, and if we can replicate Buenos Aires and other major city centers where stablecoin adoption is at its highest, that is an enormous opportunity, not just for the project, but for the entire industry as a whole. We can begin to deliver applications to these users that benefit their lives and start to decouple from the narrative of bull and bear markets and meme coin mania. So how do we deal with this situation? We need to be able to build with WorldChain a blockchain that has 2 really important properties. One is for those people in these countries, we need to be ensure that they have financial access from their local currency, their local payment rails, financial institutions directly into WorldChain. And we need to ensure that for app developers, they can tap into the distribution that's been created by the World Network. So I want to talk a little bit about both why that is such a significant hurdle for us to overcome and also what we've done so far to get there. But first, I want to talk about just how big the scale is to give you a sense of this not just being a network that has no users on day one. This is actually already one of the largest blockchains on day one. And some of my favorite stats are these ones. One is there are more holders of USDC on day one after the migration from OP mainnet on WorldChain than on any other blockchain. That alone is just a crazy statistic. And this one's even crazier. There's more holders of $20 worth of the World token than there are $20 USDC holders on all other Ethereum networks combined. The key point being real people that hold and use stablecoins are on WorldChain already on day one. It's not the case that we have to go and get them. And there's already over $100 million worth of value in the wallets of these users. And historically, they've created over 150 million transactions, amounting to over $1.5 billion of volume. And it's, again, the most number of verified humans on any chain on the planet today as it's launching. So in order to account for this, we needed to not just launch it and then start getting some integrations. We had to get integrations immediately. And I want to give a massive shout out to the partnerships team at the WorldCoin Foundation and at Tools for Humanity, because we've been able to get some great partners. Immediately, we're going to be having support from Unlimit, Ramp Network, and many other on and off ramps around the world, including Binance, which will support depositing and withdrawing of assets as a bridge onto the WorldChain. And this means that in all those places where we're seeing adoption by both stablecoin holders and existing adoption by world users, we have on and off ramp support directly for them immediately. This is a very big deal when you're launching a new chain. And secondly, in addition to connecting with the real world, World Chain's also going to be directly connected with the crypto world. We have worked with amazing partners, including Synapse, Across, Optimism directly for the bridging capabilities, Circle, Chainlink, and Superbridge to be able to support immediately integrations that'll connect not just World Chain with the outside world, but also with the other blockchains like Ethereum, Base, OP Mainnet, and more. So World Chain is going to be very deeply connected on day one and support financial access for all these people around the world and for the people that are existing on crypto rails today. So that's how we're dealing with financial access. What are we going to be doing to ensure that developers can tap into this global distribution? I love this picture because it kind of reveals a bit of a dirty secret in the blockchain industry, which is that you don't know really if your application has users. You see, monthly active addresses, but you don't know, is one address one person or is 1,000 addresses one person? It's kind of an absurd situation, frankly, that we don't have any concept of user metrics in crypto. But that is going to change on World Chain because of World ID. We have the ability to know that these are real people using our applications and not just arbitrary hexadecimal strings, which may or not be this guy. So that's really incredible, and it means that on World Chain, we can try to incentivize and support developers that are building applications that can leverage real identity. Things like airdrops that go to real people, and I've been a part of some airdrops, and I can tell you the ROI is really abysmal, because frankly, there are industrial scale airdrop farmers that are out there. Additionally, you can chat with real people using Web3 chatting apps. Games that, again, are not just bots trying to find ways to arbitrage and make a profit, but they're actually games that are interesting and leverage Web3. Reputation systems, which will enable us for the first time supporting under-collateralized lending projects and many more things, including voting, true one person, one vote democracy on chain. Really, these are ideas we've been talking about for years, but on World Chain it's possible to build them directly and properly because we have native identity built in. And the second is, if you saw Thiago earlier on the keynote, he introduced mini apps. And this is really the killer feature, I think, of World Chain for developers. Because, like Alex mentioned, World App is the third largest crypto app in the world, and the introduction of mini apps is creating a portal for developers to tap directly into World App. This means that if you're building an application on World Chain, you have the opportunity to go direct to over 15 million people across the world, exactly where those people need crypto adoption the most. And this is better than just any other wallet, which has a browser feature that can maybe go to a web-based application that may or may not integrate well with Wallet Connect or what have you. This is direct integration into iOS, enabling you to have push notifications, marketing to get directly to the people you want, targeted. You'll have descriptions, ranking, you'll have an entire app store ecosystem, basically. It's kind of leveling up the entire way that we distribute apps on blockchains to users by embedding it directly in the place where users end up being on World App. So that's how we're going to embody these two principles of humans over bots on World Chain and real world adoption being our primary focus in terms of applications. Great, okay, so how do you build on World Chain? Again, really huge shout out to not only the partnership team, the WorldCoin Foundation and TFH, but also just to like our friends in the industry that have really kind of been supportive of us in launching this project. On day one, World Chain is going to have support from the best developer products in this entire industry. Etherscan, Alchemy is directly embedding its entire product suite with World ID, and if you go to the website, they've changed the cursor to be an orb, it's very fun. Optimism is, and I'll talk about that in a bit, directly supporting Tenderly, Dune Analytics, multi-signature wallets, both for individuals, groups of people, small businesses, and institutional wallets that need much more sophisticated custody, directly available on day one on World Chain. And World Chain is also interoperable with the Ethereum ecosystem because it is built on the Optimism superchain, which means it's going to be soon interoperable directly with Base, which is the fastest growing blockchain out there today. It's going to scale to 1 gigagas per second, which if you don't know what that means, it means basically thousands and thousands of transactions per second, reaching kind of a Visa scale scalability. It's going to be decentralized, so that it's not just the foundation supporting it. It's going to be a much broader network of companies across the ecosystem, decentralizing it and governing it. And of course, it's going to be secured by Ethereum, which is the most valuable decentralization blockchain network that exists, with Ether as the base level currency. So that is WorldChain. We have 6 major kind of features we're launching with: orientation towards financial and identity applications, it's real world crypto. Millions of users immediately available for developers to tap into on day one, exactly where adoption is the highest. Prioritized block space for humans, the first time it's ever been tried on a blockchain. World-class developer tooling available from day one. A global network of on and off ramps everywhere where you'd need it, in places where stablecoin adoption is the highest. And you can go directly to humans via mini apps with a native iOS experience. Yeah, that's WorldChain. Thank you. And in order to talk a little bit about grants, how you can kind of get involved, I want to hand it over to W, the director at the World Foundation.
Thank you, Liam. Works. Okay, first things first, I want to thank Liam a lot. He's been driving this project from day one, since we knew we have to ship our own L2. There was like one person in the world that were like, that's the best person in the world to drive this work on our side. And he's been doing that. So once again, thank you so much, Liam. This is amazing. Yeah. We're super happy to be working together. As we said in the main keynote earlier on stage, we are committing, 50 million WLD has been committed to WorldCoin Foundation grants program to build out WorldChain. We think that's just the first step, but we think it's a big step. There is a lot of stuff that we should be building out together. All the infrastructure for cryptography, all the WorldChain infrastructure, everything that you think should be in the mini apps that in the World app, and what basically pushes like the real world crypto adoption forward, we're here to fund it. Also a lot of like partners and ramp infrastructure, and all the things that we didn't think about. We have grants team that is on it 24/7. Get in touch with us if you want to build together. It's a huge opportunity for developers. We also have many ecosystem partners already, but we need so many more. We need to cover the whole world with WorldChain integrations so that you can use this everywhere in the world, in every country that we can operate in, and basically make this accessible on humanity scale. So if you go to world.org/chainpartners, there are also materials for you if you want to integrate. I think that's all for today. We'll be here all day. Catch us. Let's talk about this. Let's answer your questions and let's build together. Thank you so much. Yeah. Let's.